What is going on, you beautiful thought-having people? Give It Thought here today for a special video. Today I just wanted to take a look back on the development cycle for The Last Guardian. And the reason I wanted to make this video is that people seem to have forgotten about this game. So I wanted to put the spotlight back on Team Ico's innovative effort. When it was announced back in 2009 as the successor to Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, gamers' heads exploded. But because of the numerous delays, people have pushed it to the side. So in this video, I'm bringing it back front and center. So without further ado, let's give some thought to the development cycle of The Last Guardian. If you've seen the trailers for this game, then you have to wonder where the idea came from for that eagle cat thing. Well, it's simple really. When receiving news of fan reception for Shadow of the Colossus, creator and lead of the development studio behind the game, Fumito Ueda, saw that players developed a deeper relationship between Wonder and his steed, Agro, than any of the other characters in the game. This sparked the idea in him to create a game based around a relationship between man and beast, and further, to examine how an emotional attachment developed between them. Ueda strove from the beginning to explore that relationship between two beings on an even deeper level than he did with Ico or Shadow of the Colossus. And in 2007, Project TRICO, the codename for the project, was born. By that name, you can probably guess that the eagle creature is named TRICO, and you'd be correct. In fact, the Japanese translated name for the game is TRICO the Large Man-Eating Eagle. After work proper had started, Ueda wanted to fast-track this game and not have history repeat itself with his past long development cycles. It is safe to say that that did not go according to plan. From the start of development, Ueda knew that he had to get the creature right, as he had known he had to perfect the colossi on his previous effort. So being the creative genius he is, he ignored the process of motion capture, which is becoming ever more popular in the game development field. Instead of struggling with the myriad of animals in a studio, Team Ico put their skills to developing fluid keyframes. This was to give the characters more lifelike motion. This applies to both the unnamed boy character and TRICO. The team also opted to go with a full physics engine this time around, for a better sense of realism, something they had ignored in their past two games. They even went so far as to individually animate each little feather on the monstrous TRICO so that every last one of them reacts differently to the pushing wind. And by 2009, the small team had finished enough of the game to show it off at that year's E3 celebration. But as you will soon see, the development team had little to celebrate. After the game was shown at 2009's E3, little was heard from the team behind The Last Guardian, until 2011 that is, where they proudly displayed another piece of the game at that year's Game Developers Conference in March. Things sound like they're going pretty well, don't they? Well, behind the curtains at Sony, trouble was brewing. Shuhei Yoshida, the president of Sony Computer Entertainment Worldwide, was not happy with the progress made on The Last Guardian, and thought the team was far behind schedule. The truth of the matter was, the small Team Ico was struggling to create the vision proposed by Ueda. It was even revealed by Yoshida that the 2009 E3 trailer was pre-rendered and was not representative of actual gameplay. This little revelation shows that the limited developers had been facing snag after snag since the official announcement. In a business decision, Sony, with Yoshida at the helm, brought in a completely different studio, Sony Santa Monica, the team behind the God of War series, to help bring the game back on track. And according to an interview with Yoshida and Wired.com, this studio was not the only one brought into Team Ico. Apparently, engineers from Europe and the US had been brought over, including Mark Cerny, who went on to become the lead architect of the PlayStation 4. As 2012 rolled around and Sony on the verge of announcing their next console, the game was again at a breaking point. Another company-wide decision left The Last Guardian spread out in even more hands so that they could optimize the code of the game for the PlayStation 4. But before all this happened, the creator of the game, the man with the initial vision, made the decision to leave Sony and his project entirely. Because of the lack of unity in Sony's new decision to delay The Last Guardian once again in early 2011, Ueda, along with other members of Team Ico, decided it was the end for the critically lauded company. While some employees went on to other things, like founding their own independent studios, some stayed with Ueda and went on to create their own development company, Gen Design. In a surprising turn of events for the gaming audience as a whole and Ueda himself, Gen Design was brought back on board with Sony to continue work on the game. According to Ueda, he had a choice though. He could have gone on to work on something completely new, but he chose to see his project through to the end. So alongside one of Sony's internal studios, Sony Japan, work began once again on TRICO and the Boy, but things were a little different than before. Ueda and his fledgling company were relegated to the creative design of the game and had nothing to do with the more technical aspects. This level of organization tasked Gen Design with creating the assets for the game, while Sony Japan brings them to life. Ueda, through a stroke of generosity by Sony, still had oversight on both levels, and this, according to him, allowed the game to maintain his initial vision for The Last Guardian, the vision he had for the game all the way back in 2005. At Sony's 2015 E3 event, TRICO and the Boy were finally brought back into the limelight. The odd duo was given a gameplay presentation in front of thousands of adoring fans, and it assured everyone that the game had not been compromised due to its delay-filled development cycle. If nothing else, it had been helped because of the generation jump from PS3 to PS4. Jumping to just a year later, in June of 2016, the game was finally in playable form at that year's E3, and it was given a concrete release date of October 25th of that same year. And thus concludes one of the most jagged and bumpy journeys a video game has ever been through in order to get into players' hands. Even if you weren't looking forward to this title, you have to hand it to Sony and Ueda for making every attempt they could to get this game to the fans. And I, for one, cannot wait to see the fruits of their collective labor. Thank you so much for hanging around to the end. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? All you have to do is click the annotation in the upper left corner of this video and you will be taken right to my channel where you can smash that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, why not check out the one I did yesterday? It was all about No Man's Sky and whether or not the developers will answer to the lies they told the public. It's pretty interesting, so go give that one a watch. Alright, I think that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, give thought to everything.